Hey Mystics, how y'all doing? Thanks for stopping by. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're returning, what's up, Soul Family? Welcome back. In either event, I'm so happy that you're here. Now, if you're returning, yesterday, the video that I recorded when we got ready to talk about the tablets of Thoth, I promised that I mentioned something from Forbidden Knowledge, and I linked a video there. And as I was doing that video, I noticed I got a notification that the fifth kind had uploaded something that caught my eye. And I promised y'all if it was any good, I wasn't going to gatekeep, I'd let you know. So I did want to briefly discuss that video, and I am for sure going to go ahead and link it to this video. So definitely look in the description box and or a pinned comment after. If it's, if you're watching it in Premiere, the link for the video will be in the description box. If you are watching it later on, you can find the video either in the community page or um, pinned as a pinned comment on this video. But the video that I wanted to talk about was, like I said, the fifth kind uploaded it. It's called The Hidden Forces Behind Civilization. And it's an excerpt from an interview that Paul Wallace did on the Gaia channel. I don't have a membership there, but if you do, you can get the whole interview there. But the excerpt from it that they did, there was a couple of things that he brought out that were super cool that I wanted to highlight or call your attention to as well. And the first was that with the idea of paleo contact, and the more we dig into the Anuna text and the Babylonian text and the Emerald tablets and all of those, we're starting to see that connection of who was who and kind of how they got here and how we got here and how it relates. But he was talking about a seal that was discovered last year, like an emperor or a king or whatever, they had the wax seals or whatnot that they would use to legitimize their documents, kind of like to signing it, they put their seal on it. Well, they discovered this seal, and let me see, it was the seal of Yahwehza, who was, according to this, they were saying that academics look at Judaism as a monotheistic religion. Of course, we see it now where they worship Yahweh, and then that kind of segued into Yahwism by way of Christianity when he went from being called Yahweh to being called Jehovah. But before Jews were worshiping only Yahweh, there was a time that they were polytheistic. And as Mr. Wallace points out, it's not even so much as polytheism as acknowledging paleo contact. And this seal that they found last year points to that because Yahwehza was a Jewish emperor or a vizier. I can't remember exactly what he was. You'd have to watch the video. But the seal came before the time of, where before they had scaled it down into monotheism. But it has on it, the seal is actually an Assyrian genie or Tangier. So the Jews, they can't say that they didn't acknowledge those forms. It was from a time when people remembered, acknowledged who the Anunnaki were. They remembered what they looked like. They had artistic depictions of them. And this particular emperor or ruler or whomever Yahwehza was, I can't remember if he said, but it had a depiction of a genie or a Tangier. And that reminded me of the video that we were discussing, I think day before yesterday, from my lunch break, with like who the histories being hidden and who's erasing them and all of that. When we look at all of those old buildings and all of those older documents and all, and they have all these griffins and ogres and gnomes and angels and demons, but particularly the griffins and dragons all over this artwork and architecture all over Europe, Eastern Europe, even spilling into the United States in some of those older buildings we see there, especially primarily the public buildings like the train stations and subway stations and courthouses. A lot of them have been torn down in the United States now and redone, but there are still some examples of it that we can see then that they actually acknowledge those things. If those were supposedly mythical creatures that never existed, why do they pop up with so much consistency and regularity, not only in the so called mythical stories all around the planet, but in the artwork as well? That tells us something. And then the other thing that I really, it kind of, whew, it really makes you see that nothing that we're going through is truly new. And that's all the more reason we kind of need to address it so we can get off this roller coaster. Just like Thoth, and again, it kind of, for me anyway, it's tying in because in it was either the second or third of the Emerald Tablets, how Thoth was saying that he wanted to go to the children of the land of Kim to release them from this bondage and help them expand their consciousness and see light and all of that. And the only way to do that is to expand our consciousness by not continuing to accept the lie so that we can get to the truth. And let me see. Yeah, he was talking about how the the reason for them going from this polytheistic type of society down into monotheism, because monotheism allowed, it facilitated the introduction of an easily governed theocratic society. You can control people with fear and religion, but you could also put them under like one religion and therefore one form of government, one monetary system, one all of that. It introduced centralized money systems, the fluctuation and valuation of currency within those systems, the idea of working for money rather than for the exchange of goods. It also opened the door for greed and corruption, of course, in commerce, government, and religion. Now, he also talks about the story in the Hawaiian Islands, the story of the Ahumanu or the mole, who were dragons, and they invaded and colonized the Hawaiian lands according to their tradition. But the Ahumanu created scarcity, and they created these pay systems because that was when people went from working for exchanging goods to working for money. And of course, the invaders or colonizers were the ones that presented the money, because now, once they invaded, they came in and took over the land. And instead of the people being, they weren't driven off the land per se, but because these colonizers came in, then you had to pay rents to the colonizers with the money, the currency that they provided. And then they could value or devalue the currency however they wanted to control the economy. Sound familiar? It's exactly the same thing that we got going on now. And then they had went into that discussion. As they did that, it began to create this classism. And the lady that was doing this interview with him, Meredith, Regina Meredith from Gaia, she was talking about the fact that we refer to these people, these ones that became ultra rich off of this system of colonization and this money control and all of this stuff, we refer to them as elite. And she was like, why do we refer to them as elite? Because they truthfully are not elite. What they are bottom feeders that gain control. And they are predatory bottom feeders. But we call them the elite because think about it. That's exactly how they got so elite. They get ultra stupid rich off of psychological manipulation, violence, greed, and corruption by coming in and taking over people and their lands and forcing people into a system of subjugation whereby now the majority of people are working to provide for a very small few at the top. That's not truly an elite person. That's the lowest of the low, but they've somehow managed to scheme their way to the top. They are predatory bottom feeders. But what Mr. Wallace pointed out, the reason we refer to them as the elite, because when you deal with a situation like that, the invaders become the Department of Education, is how he put it. And it's the truth, because when they come in, they rewrite the history, they rewrite the laws, they tweak the religion, they do all of that stuff to suit their agenda. And remember what we said, after 3 generations of holding to almost any lie, you can make it stick. And especially if you're doing it at the end of a very big stick or a pew pew. You come in and tell people you got the upper hand in that you're either outnumbering them or outweaponing them. So now you come into their house, you kick their door in by way of home invasion, and because they're less violent than you are, you're more willing to unalive them than they are to unalive you. Now you've gotten the upper hand. Now you convince them that if they want to really fit in, they've got to assimilate to your way. And he made a prime example of that. I never knew that his heritage or his lineage is Ghanaian Britain. His family came from British colonizers in Ghana. And when they came into Ghana, like you said, they come in, oh, we're going to make things better for you, and we're going to provide this for you, and we're going to provide that for you. And if they happen to come in colonizing on the tail end of a civil war or something like that, or some kind of a tribal war, wherever they go, they use Ghana as the example, but it happens, it's rinse and repeat all around the world. These so-called assistance or aid, they want to come in into a war-torn place or economically less privileged place, and oh, they're going to help you and they're going to assist you, and the next thing you know, they've gotten the economic upper hand. Now they're in the top seat as the elite and got all of these people scrapping to provide for them, and got these people psychologically twisted to believe that they're better simply because they came in with more initial resources. And when they do that, then they can turn around. Like you said, they become the Department of Education. You're going to believe whatever lies they put in the books that you have to sit down in their schools and listen to in order to get the education that they insist that you have to have. Bottom feeders, predatory bottom feeders. But in any event, I had to call that to y'all attention. It's a really cool little excerpt. Like it's only like 13, 14 minutes. You'll definitely want to check it out. I will link it to this. And he also made a reference to an older movie, because he was pointing this out, that it's a children's movie, or it was produced as such, but it truthfully shows us this. And it lets us know that, like I said, a lot of times they hide stuff in plain sight. They dress up a whole lot of adult concepts in the name of children's movies, and really, truthfully, be giving it to you straight, no chaser. But they put some chaser on it because they fictionalize it and give it to you as if it's just a story. But the movie is Jim Henson's Dark Crystal. And I'll try to link that one as well. And I for sure will post it in the community pages, because it is free with ads, I think, on YouTube. Or of course, if you got premium, you can watch it free without the ads. But yeah, it is available to watch here on YouTube, so I'll link that as well. I'm gonna scoot with that because I just wanted to call that to y'all's attention. But I am gonna get into um, I think it's chapter 4 in the lost book. I mean, not in the lost book, in the Emerald Tablet, in the compendium of the Emerald Tablets. That one kind of took me for a mental loop, and I'm kind of excited to get into it with you too. So if you haven't checked that out yet, definitely go ahead and give that a look see as well. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Peace and blessings to you. I love you, soul family. Namaste.